Okay, for all you KKK, Ku Klux Klan fans, this segment is going to deal with that I don't want to piss off the Klan folks, candidate Donald Trump.
Over the weekend, a KKK rally ended with 3 people stabbed and at least 2 people in custody in Anaheim, California. Police say counter-protesters attacked the KKK as they demonstrated. The KKK retaliated and stabbed the protesters. One of the Klansmen even used the eagle on top of a flagpole as a weapon. Of course, this is the same group the Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump is trying to distance himself from. Yesterday, on CNN State of the Union, hosted by Jake Tapper, Trump acted as if he had never heard of David Duke, the former Grand Wizard of the KKK.
Now, watch this, because you tell me if in this particular interview he was trying to distance himself from David Duke, who, hell, I knew, when I was growing up that he was, big time Klan, and everybody with half a brain, north, south, east, and west, knew what the KKK stood for. And I don't care, like I said, if you're white, black, or in the middle, you knew that the Klan was a hate group that hated black people, Jews, and basically most other minorities. But again, you tell me if Trump sounds like he's trying to distance himself from David Duke and from the KKK.
Will you unequivocally condemn David Duke and say that you don't want his vote or that of other white supremacists in this election?
Well, just so you understand, I don't know anything about David Duke, okay? I don't know anything about what you're even talking about with white supremacy or white supremacists. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know, did he endorse me or what's going on? Because, I know nothing about David Duke. I know nothing about white supremacists.
He's a liar. He knew David Duke way back in 2000 when he refused to join a political party with him running as president because David Duke was a fucking member. So that's bullshit.
And so you're asking me a question that I'm supposed to be talking about people that I know nothing about.
But I guess the question from the Anti-Defamation League is, even if you don't know about their endorsement, there are these groups and individuals endorsing you. Would you just say, unequivocally, you condemn them and you don't want their support?
Well, I have to look at the group. I mean, I don't know what group you're talking about. You wouldn't want me to condemn a group that I know nothing about. I'd have to look. If you would send me a list of the groups, I will do research on them, and certainly I would disavow if I thought there was something wrong. But you may have groups in there that are totally fine, and it would be very unfair. So give me a list of the groups, and I'll let you know.
Okay. I mean, I'm just talking about David Duke and the Ku Klux Klan here, but...
I don't know anything. Honestly, I don't know David Duke. I don't believe I've ever met him. I'm pretty sure I didn't meet him, and I just don't know anything about him.
See, but he knows about David Duke because he didn't want to join him back in 2000. So, and please don't insult our intelligence by telling us that he doesn't know anything about the Ku Klux Klan. He completely ignored that particular portion of the question. So, Donald Trump, is he a racist? My opinion, yeah, but he's at least a bigot, and he's for sure a liar, because this man, again, supposedly has the best memory in the history of the world, but he can't remember his previous dealings on the name of David Duke. And since it's obvious that the KKK has been discussed, in a lot of different places, his memory is failing him there as far as what type of an organization and what they're about.
Here's what's funny, because on Friday, Trump was aware of David Duke, and he caught a slip up and tweeted a clip from the news conference.
How do you feel about the recent endorsement from David Duke?
I didn't even know he endorsed me. David Duke endorsed me? Okay. All right. I disavow, okay?
Wow. Now, the other presidential candidates, they have blasted Trump for his comments. Senator Bernie Sanders tweeted, America's first black president cannot and will not be succeeded by a hate monger who refuses to condemn the KKK. Hillary Clinton said this on the, here's her tweet, first of all, this is Ohio Governor John Kasich. Hate groups have no place in America. We are stronger together. In the story, John. Marco Rubio tweeted this, we cannot be a party that nominates someone who refuses to condemn white supremacists and the Ku Klux Klan. Senator Ted Cruz said, we're really sad. Real Donald Trump, you're better than this. We should all agree racism is wrong. KKK is abhorrent. Now,
just so that you know, Florida has got a huge KKK contingent. Texas has got a huge KKK contingent. Ohio has got a bunch of KKK people in that state. Okay, and now I don't know about Vermont and New Hampshire having a big contingent of the Klan, but the first three, they're all big KKK states. So for these guys to come out and say those things, it just lets me know that, they know which way the wind is blowing as far as, publicly making statements that don't pigeonhole you into Ku Klux Klan supporters. Stupid ass Trump apparently forgot what he said on Friday, because in that interview, if you looked at it, he sounded like he was definitely familiar with David Duke and wanted to get past that issue quickly.
The only black presidential candidate in the race, Dr. Ben Carson, has kept quiet on the issue.
What a joke.
Where's the Hillary Clinton tweet? Do we have that? Okay, fine. So here we go. All right, folks. So on the panel, Sophia Nelson and Ray Baker. So,
Roland, look, I've been saying it for 20 years. As a Republican myself since 1988, recruited by Jack Kemp, worked for people like Christy Whitman, I've watched this party steadily march to the state where it is now. The seeds have grown up into a terrible harvest in the name of Donald Trump. The Republican Party better get itself together very quickly, or I promise you Hillary Clinton will be president of the United States. The country, I don't think, will abide this type of conduct.
First of all, Ray Baker, he says on Friday he clearly knew David Duke. He also, though, in 2000, refused to be a part of the Reform Party because David Duke was running and blasted David Duke then. And then you heard him say, I disavow, which really was a blow-off. Okay, fine, I disavow. So you know about him on Friday, but you have no clue about him on Sunday.
Right. So what we can see is Donald Trump knows who's ringing his bell, so to speak, and he knows that the Southern Swing is coming up, and it's going to be terribly important for him to get, if he wants to win, to get the votes of those same people who are echoing what David Duke is saying. So Donald Trump is trying to talk out of both sides of his mouth, and he's doing it poorly, as he's been doing for the last year plus when he's been running for president.
Well, this is the same guy who, let's just be honest, has consistently retweeted statements by white supremacists, and he's trying to say, oh, I didn't know who they were, even when called out on it. I mean, he has done that over and over and over again. Donald Trump knows exactly what he's doing by playing to racists who are backing his presidency.
There was an interesting story in the Washington Post this weekend about his dad. I don't know if you saw it, about the dad's past in like the late 30s or something with respect to a Klan rally, etc. I don't think his dad obviously was not a member of the Klan or anything like that. But the point is there is now a narrative that this kind of runs throughout the blood of the Trump family, and I just think this is a really bad look for Donald Trump. It may work for him in the primaries, but when he has to come back to the general election and win in the middle, which is where it's always fought, I don't see how he gets there.
And that's one of the points that Mr. Rubio was making with his tweet that we saw. But we remember Donald Trump was very active in the Central Park Five, making sure that those young men, in his mind, were accused and condemned and sent to jail because they were these kind of insidious creatures and human beings in really aggressive language in ways where we don't want a sitting president of the United States to behave in that way.
If you've noticed.
Now, for those of you who don't know about the Central Park Five, these were 5 teenagers under 21. Actually, some of them were approximately 16 to 21. There was a woman that was raped in Central Park, and for some reason, the cops grabbed these 5 guys. Okay. as a matter of fact, the more I think about it, I think the majority of them were all pretty much underage. But anyway, the police refused to let these guys have attorneys. They refused to let them talk to their parents for over 12 hours. Okay. Then the cops turned around and lied to them, telling them that if they admitted to this crime, that they could go home. Well, after 12 hours, and you're really pretty much unsophisticated, you basically, if you're from New York, you should be more sophisticated than that to go with that bullshit. But anyway, they went for it, okay? They went for it, they locked them up. Then they gave them access to their parents and attorneys. Well, I guess legal aid attorneys weren't smart enough to get the confessions thrown out because the kids weren't Mirandized, and with their parents not being made available to them, that whole thing should have been thrown out. Okay, bottom line, let's cut to the chase. They get locked up and convicted, and they're going to do 20 years plus, every last one of them. Okay, fast forward. The lady basically comes back and quasi recants. Plus, they had DNA evidence. They tested the DNA evidence when they were appealing, and the DNA evidence cleared all 5 of the kids. The city knew they had screwed up and voted to give them a mass settlement. I believe it was like, for the 5 kids, it was a total of $40 million, which would have given them about $8 million apiece for, I believe it was five or more years that they served. Donald Trump's racist ass took out a full-page advertisement in the Daily News, basically bashing all 5 of the now adults, and saying that they should be locked away and the key thrown away, even though all the evidence and even the DA basically stated that the kids were railroaded. But Donald Trump's racist ass couldn't accept the fact that these kids were innocent. And then I guess, as it turned out, they did actually catch the person later on that actually committed the crime. But that's just an example of Donald Trump and the bullshit that you got to go through with this guy, and the fact, in my opinion, he is a racist.
Just his language rolling, and there are things he says that are simply, they take you aback, whether it's about Muslims or Mexicans or women. I just think that there's a line that you want a president to be a statesman and a diplomat. Tough, yes, but not dangerous.
And lastly, beyond that, I think even that is not sincere on Mr. Trump's part. Now, obviously, the language and the rhetoric is terribly offensive and racist, but I don't sincerely think that's him, because he's vacillated so long in his career.
Here's my deal. I believe when it comes out of your mouth, it is you.
Right.
And so if you look, George Wallace said the exact same thing. Well, that really wasn't me. It was a matter of politics, things along those lines. If you choose to go there, no, that is you. Donald Trump is consistently showing us exactly who he is. And so I'm not going to let him off the hook with anything along those lines. And the reality is he's appealing directly to bigots. And the thing is this here, no major presidential candidate in 2016 should be operating in this way. He should be condemned, and this absolutely disqualifies him. And I would hope that folks who are sensible will call him out. And even if he comes out and says, well, my bad, no, I'm not letting you off the hook.
But what does it say about our nation if he doubles down on it?
Well, first of all, what it says is that we've always had bigots out there. Look, there are racists who vote. There are bigots who vote. There are people who are voting who don't like black and Hispanics who believe this. And when you appeal to that base, and when part of his brand is, I don't apologize, I don't backtrack, I'm not going to back down, well, then this tells you about the character of Donald Trump and why he has no business running for president, or even be getting the nomination, or even attempting to try to be the president.
And furthermore, it tells you about the character of the nation, right? Or in some ways, not even of the nation, of the Republican Party, of that particular part in the country of the Republican Party.
All right, then, folks.
Yeah, so like I said, Donald Trump the racist, he's got a following, and a lot of people that are voting for him, even though they won't admit it, undercover, behind closed doors, without cameras or whatever else, or somebody repeating what they said. They actually subscribe to all the bullshit that he's saying. So I'll take it from there.